Hey, Pistons fans, what's going on? Welcome to Pistons Daily, a podcast that we bring you fresh Pistons content every day. And you're probably wondering, who is this guy behind the mic? Well, my name is Tony Nash, and I am your new host. And I am a lifelong Pistons fan, and I am super excited to spend each day with you guys talking about your Detroit Pistons. Like I said, I have been a fan since the 80s, the Bad Boys era. Yes, I am that old. And boy, it is awesome to see what our Detroit Pistons are doing right now. And I'm coming off watching this game tonight, and we just won our 11th straight game. And I don't know about you, but I didn't think I would be watching our Pistons win 11 straight games for a very long time. It has been such a long time since we've had a good team. And man, it has been so much fun watching these games. I'm a season ticket holder, so I've been to pretty much all of the home games. And seeing the way that we've been winning these games is absolutely remarkable. And we're going to get into a lot of this stuff today to talk about the depth of our team and to talk about different guys that are stepping up at different moments. But man, are we not excited to see what our Detroit Pistons are doing? This is the first time we've had an 11-game winning streak since the 2008 season. And in this winning streak here, we've been averaging 122 points a game. I mean, so we're a defensive team, but we're putting up some numbers too. We're putting up points. We've been shooting 50% from the field. This is the stat that really sticks out to me that's most impressive, is we're averaging 16.7 steals and blocks per game, leading the NBA in that category. And then we've had 7 different guys score 12 or more points during this stretch here. We're winning these games. And so, man, it has been really, really cool. Certainly, we've had some rough moments, but, man, at tonight's game, there were some rough moments, but we got it done. And our defense is really, it's what we hung our hats on tonight. Our defense is what got it done. We got some big stops, 12 steals, 4 blocks, and a ton of disrupted plays and a ton of just making it very difficult for the other team to score. 83% from the field. From free throws tonight, 83% from free throws. Had some big free throws. We kind of struggled with free throw shooting last year. And then some big moments, 54% shooting from the field. And then, man, let's talk about Dannis again. Dannis Jenkins, I'll tell you what, man, the last 4 games to see what he's doing. The former G Leaguer last year played 7 games in the NBA. And man, this year he looks like a legit starting point guard in the NBA. And so, man, I hope the Pistons will keep him. Obviously, there's a lot to figure out right now with what's going to happen when Ivey returns. But certainly, in my opinion, Dannis Jenkins has proven himself to be a much better option than Marcus Sasser. When Marcus comes back, he has a lot of proving to do that he could get some minutes, because Marcus is a great offensive player, but in my opinion, he's sporadic, he's inconsistent, doesn't necessarily play on both sides of the ball. But Dannis Jenkins just looks poised, put together, calm under pressure, loves the big moment. I love the look on his face. He just got that Detroit swag, taking it to guys, not afraid, hitting big shots, making big passes, getting stops down the stretch, and has been absolutely phenomenal for us with Cade being out. And then tonight, seeing him and Cade start together kind of gave us a little look of what it might look like if Cade played the 2 coming off screens. And just a lot of fun. And so, in my opinion, Dannis has really earned himself a spot on this squad, and how we fit him into the rotation and where he plays once we have everybody healthy is yet to be determined. But 14-7 tonight, of course, coming off a win the night before with 26-8, averaging, I believe, 22 points a game over this stretch, and just proven himself to be a force. And like I said, watching him play, he looks like a seasoned point guard, just totally under control, very rarely making bad decisions. And so I'm really, really excited about him. And then, of course, the big man down low, Jalen Duren, 24-8 tonight, coming off a game of 31-15. Just turned 22 years old today. Hard to imagine he's 22 years old. What a bright future this young man has if he can stay healthy, and just looking dominant in the paint. I mean, once he gets the ball in there, he's going to go up for a dunk. He's not going to get stopped. And when he gets to the free throw line, he's shooting like 85% from the free throw line. And so unstoppable, averaging a double-double. I think he's averaging something like 21 points and 12 rebounds or somewhere around there. So, man, the future is bright for our big man. And then, of course, getting to see him and Isaiah start together. I've really enjoyed that combo. There's a statistic out there, I believe, that it says that when teams are playing against the Pistons, I think like 40-some% of their shots are taken in the paint. But when Stewart and Duren are on the court together, that number of shots in the paint goes down to like 15, 16%. And so people just aren't taking it in because those guys are rim protectors. And, they remind me of the old Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer, or your Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace type guys. And it's just been a lot of fun to see those guys. And listen, truth be told, Isaiah Stewart might end up being that stretch four that we've been saying we need for so long. Tobias is great. Obviously, when he gets back, we're going to see what he can do. But I kind of like the idea of starting Isaiah Stewart over Tobias Harris. Tobias is one of the few guys that we have on the team that can kind of create his own offense. And so maybe letting him run that second unit. I know he's a veteran and maybe he doesn't want to come off the bench, but that might be a good look for us. Obviously, time will tell, but I think that could be something that's nice. Obviously, with Jaden and Stewart starting together, it's a good look for our team. Defensively, offensively, it gives us a lot of options, and so that's been a lot of fun to watch. And then Cade, of course, back tonight after sitting out several games, and came out, started slow like he kind of always does, but ended up with 25 and 10, 5 straight games that he's had 25 and 10. That's the longest streak in franchise history, 5 games in a row with at least 25 points and at least 10 assists, and just some big shots down the stretch in the fourth, some much-needed shots. And Cade just gets it done. There's times where he's sloppy with the ball. There's times when he turns it over, but all great players do that. But, man, he gets it done when we need it. And Cade is really becoming that leader that our team has been lacking. And, this Pistons team kind of reminds me of some of the Pistons teams of old, the blueprint, where we have a dominant point guard like Isaiah Thomas, Chauncey Billups, and now we got Cade. And then you have a lethal shooter, two-guard with Joe Dumars, Rip Hamilton, and now we have, Duncan Robinson, and then we're going to see what Jaden Ivey, he was shooting the leather off the ball last year before he got hurt. And then just some as JB calls them, some nasty dogs down low with Stewart and Duren, and then Asar playing D. And we're going to talk about the depth of our team here in a little bit. But, man, just to see what these guys are doing, absolutely incredible. Chaz had a good night. Chaz hit 3 big threes in the game tonight. It's nice to see him getting some more minutes. I'd like to see us continue to develop him. He is a lethal shooter when he's on. Looked a little bit off in the second half, but it's good to see Chaz getting some buckets. So a lot of good things tonight, a lot of good things about this 11th straight win. And there were a few things that were not so good, some things that we got to continue to clean up as we come into the schedule. Friday night we got Milwaukee, which is going to be a really tough game. Whether or not Giannis is playing, I'm not sure. But tonight the offensive rebounds killed us. I believe that Atlanta had 12 or 13 offensive rebounds, just gave them a lot of second chance opportunities where we had a great defensive possession, lockdown defense, made some stops, got a block, and then give them a second chance to put the ball back up, and a lot of times that resulted in a score. And so offensive rebounding wasn't great tonight. We only shot 32% from 3. And we haven't necessarily been a great three-point shooting team this year. It looked like we were going to start. Duncan Robinson couldn't miss in the beginning. But just a lot of missed threes tonight, so there's some opportunity there. And then I just want to say I've been a basketball coach for 10 years, varsity basketball coach, 2-time state championship, been to 4 state championships. And I love the game. I study the game. I'm a student of the game of basketball. And I got to say, I love what JB is doing from a standpoint of culture, building confidence, putting together a belief in these guys that they can just play hard and they can do a lot of things. And so I love what JB is doing. I love our coach. So this is not necessarily a criticism of him, but I think on the X's and O's side, there's room for improvement, but particularly with our inbounds plays. I don't know about you, but does it seem like we are having such a hard time getting the ball inbounds? And so I think we need to draw up some inbound plays that make it a little bit easier with teams double-teaming Cade and doing a lot of the things that they're trying to do to keep the ball out of his hands. It seems like to me there's so many times where we struggle to get the ball inbounds, and so I think we could come up with some inbounds plays. And then, man, closing out quarters. It just seems to me like every time middle of a quarter we got a good lead, by the end of that quarter we're just we let that lead diminish 4 or 5, 6, 8, 10 points. We just get a little bit lackadaisical. We get sloppy. And so I think we got to get better at closing out quarters. Of course, the quarter that matters the most is the fourth quarter, and obviously we've been closing that one out. So that's the most important thing. But these are things that we got to fix if we're going to be a legit contender. Obviously, the East is wide open this year. Obviously, we all have that New York Knicks game marked on our calendar because we do not like the Knicks. We do not like Jalen Brunson. I was sad to see him go down, but he's a guy that's really tough to feel sorry for. But we've all got that game marked, and we got that Cleveland game, that next Cleveland game marked because they kind of wiped the floor with us. And as we play some of these better teams, these are some things that we're going to have to clean up if we want to get those wins. And then our boy Ron Holland, man, he seems to be struggling the last several games. I don't know if it's him as a starter. It seems like maybe he's a little too amped up. I love his energy. I love his hustle. I love how hard he plays. But I just think maybe him being a starter right now, he's not quite ready for that because he seems to come out a little bit too amped up, gets a little out of control, gets a great steal, and then goes down and tries to dribble into 3 guys, turns the ball over. And so Ron seems to be struggling a little bit. And in my opinion, he's going to have to step it up because of how deep this team is. And then, of course, not having Careless, as I call him, Careless LeVert tonight. Listen, I'm a big Michigan fan. My whole life been a Michigan fan as well. So when we got Karras and Duncan, I was excited. And I think Duncan has found his way of fitting really well with this team. I still am yet to see where Karras is really fitting in. He just comes in, and he is, as I just said, he's kind of careless with the ball. He's very ball dominant, makes a lot of bad decisions. And I noticed that when he's in the game is when we lose a lot of our big leads because the ball movement kind of just stops. And so I'm interested to see how Careless is going to fit in. I'm going to continue to call him Careless. I realize that's not his name, but I'm curious to see how he fits in to this situation we got here and see how he's able to gel with our squad. Because I will tell you what, man, the Pistons have a deep team. We could be the deepest team in the NBA right now. I saw a stat tonight that said we have had 10 different players this season score 20-plus points. 10 different players score 20-plus points. That's the most in the NBA. And if you've been watching close these last few games where our roster has kind of been gutted, missing 4 starters 2 games in a row, and still able to get the win. Guys stepping up, next man up mentality. Kind of reminds me of our Detroit Lions, just playing with that grit, just believing that, hey, when it's my opportunity, I'm going to come in and get some buckets. But, I mean, if you think about, the squad that we got with Duncan Robinson, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, Javonte Green, Paul Reed, Chaz Lanier, and then, of course, that doesn't even count Jaden Ivey and Marcus Sasser, who haven't come back yet. These are all guys who legitimately need minutes, right? I mean, these are all guys that are proving themselves to have earned some minutes. Paul Reed right now is playing so well, and has games where he's a DNP, not playing at all, and then games where he's coming in for just a few minutes, and then a couple nights ago having a night where he had to play the whole game and drop 28 points and 11 rebounds, I believe it was. And so he's earning, in my opinion, a spot on this roster. And I got to sneeze here, I think. Maybe now I look into the light for a second. If I sneeze, pardon me for that. And then you got Javonte Green, man, and that guy's just a dog. He just plays defense. He hits big shots. He makes good decisions, is not really turning the ball over. And I'll tell you what, guys like Ron Holland, who I love, and guys like Asar Thompson, who I love, and I think we have to build around our young core, and we have to keep that young core together. You hear all these trade rumors about getting Anthony Davis and gutting our roster for him, or getting a Kawhi Leonard and gutting our roster, or even someone like a Devin Booker, who I love, but then getting rid of our young guys for. I think we got to keep this young core together. We got to develop these guys to see what they can do, to see what's happening right now with how young they are. I can only imagine what it's going to be like if we can keep them together. But guys like Ron Holland and Asar Thompson are really going to have to step it up, because someone like a Javonte Green is proving like to be a little more poised in those big moments and make smarter decisions. Obviously, he's a veteran, a little more experienced. Certainly doesn't have their athletic ability or their speed, but those guys are going to have to stay on their toes because we are a deep team. And I think that's what's going to make this team really work hard, because every guy's going to have to go out and earn his spot. I mean, to me, there's no like absolutely crystal clear, like those 5 guys should be your starters. I think 1 through 10, there's a lot of guys that can make a case for being in that starting lineup at any given night. And so to me, I think that's going to push our starters to not get casual, to not get lax, but to play hard every night, because someone sitting on the bench wanting those minutes is going to come in and make a big impact. Obviously, as I talked earlier already about Dannis, just all making a case for themselves to be significant contributors for our team. And so these guys are going to have to work for their minutes. And, of course, Cade, he's the leader. I mean, he and Duren are the clear, like those 2 guys are the future of our team. Those are the 2 guys we're going to build around. Those 2 guys are solidified. Like they should be a starter every time that they're cleared to play. But the rest of our guys, in my opinion, they really are going to have to work to earn their spot because of the depth of this team. But again, I think with the culture that JB has created for us, I think it's going to be a good thing for our squad. And I think that it's going to create in our team this work ethic of I can't get lackadaisical because there's someone that wants my spot and I got to play hard. So we got to build it all around Cade, because Cade is making some waves, man. I don't know if you heard this, but Cade Cunningham is getting a signature shoe with Nike. And to my knowledge, this is the first ever Nike signature athlete that the Pistons have ever had. Now, Rasheed Wallace, I believe, had a Nike PE, the Nike Air Force, that was kind of his own version of that shoe, but it wasn't actually a signature sneaker. So Cade is going to be the first ever Piston to have a signature shoe deal with Nike. And something you'll learn about me as you get to know me is I'm a big sneakerhead. I've been collecting Nikes and Jordans. I know as a Pistons fan, it's like, do we really want to wear Jordans? But he makes a good shoe, let's be honest. And so I'm Pistons over Jordan all day, every day, but I do like his sneakers. And so I'm a big sneakerhead. I have over 100 pairs in my collection. And so I'm really looking forward to when the Cade sneaker comes out. He's already got a sweet logo that I really like, the double C shaped like a star. And they've made a little bit of merch, and they've had it on his GT cuts that he wears. But I'm looking forward to see what Cade's signature sneaker is going to look like. Obviously, I'll be the first in line to get me a pair of those when they drop. They're saying 26, 27 maybe is when those shoes are going to drop. And so I'm excited to see Cade's signature shoe. But I will tell you, Cade is becoming formidable. I don't know if you noticed in tonight's game, but Cade's starting to get some calls that he doesn't normally get. Some of those respect calls, like going to the cup hard. And a lot of times he'll get knocked to the ground and doesn't get the calls that like a Jalen Brunson or an SGA gets, or some of those guys that know how to really draw the foul baiters, as I call them. I'm sure you could appreciate that as well. But Cade is getting some calls. He's getting some respect. I don't know if you haven't watched it yet, Kevin Durant on his podcast, The Boardroom, I think it's called, he just did a full episode with Cade Cunningham. And if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go watch it. It's a great conversation with him and KD talking about Cade's, rise to success. And he talks about in there about how he wanted to come to Detroit. It kind of came down to is he was going to go to Detroit, Houston, or Cleveland. And he's like, he was doing everything he could in his power to make sure he didn't go to Cleveland. And he was okay with Houston. He's from Texas, but he really didn't want to go there. He really wanted to be in Detroit. So to me, that's a big part of a player we're going to build around, is it's got to be a guy that wants to be in Detroit. And not every NBA player wants to play in Detroit. Detroit kind of gets a bad rap. But to hear Cade talk about Detroit, of course, he was wearing his Detroit D hat and just repping and talking about the culture of the city and how much he loves it and how much he's embraced it. And so to me, like as a lifelong fan, to see a guy who really loves being a Piston and what that means and what that's about, that's our guy right there. And that's our guy we want to build around. And, of course, Jaden Ivey has big roots in Detroit. And a lot of these guys have really just embraced what it means to be a Detroit Piston. And we've won 3 championships. And there is a blueprint. both teams that were able to win, or all three teams that were able to win, had a very similar makeup. And I see a lot of that in this Detroit Pistons team, a very similar makeup, that grit, hardcore hustle, as JB calls them, the nasty dogs or the new bad boys that just play hard and in your face. And, man, I just think it's going to be a fun season. I hope we can stay out of injury. But, man, Cade is getting it done. And there's another part in there where he talks about KD asks him, like, could you ever see yourself playing off the ball with another guard? And he goes into this whole talk about how he really wants to see what it's going to look like with him and Ivey on the court together. He said he believes that those two could be something special, which I believe is true. I'm really hoping that after Ivey comes back that he stays healthy. And I'd love to see what him and Cade can do together. Just a great 1-2 punch, that great backcourt that we've kind of always had in our championship teams. I think those two guys are it, and I look forward to seeing what those guys can do. And it might not be long because Jaden Ivey looks like he might be coming back. I don't know if you heard, but he has been recently assigned to the G League, which to me means they're getting him reps, they're getting him up and down the court, they're trying to get his legs back under him, that he has been cleared for full court basketball. And typically when these guys go play some G League ball, it's typically 3 to 5 games to kind of get their legs under them. So to me, that means that he could be coming back very soon. Hopefully that's what that means. He's getting some runs up and down the court. And so I'm curious, though, to see, like, as good as the team is playing right now, like, what is bringing a player like Jaden Ivey into the mix going to do to the chemistry that we've kind of created? And I think he is part of this team. He's been part of this team. He's always on the bench. The guys love him. And so I think he obviously fits, but there's only so many shots to go around. And Ivey's the kind of guy that's going to put up some shots, 10 to 15 shots a night, likely. And so how is that going to work with him? Obviously, I think he's going to be rusty. He hasn't played in almost a year, really, other than I think he played one game in the preseason. He's going to have some G League games under him, but not having really laced him up in an NBA game in almost a year. He's going to be rusty, so we're going to have to give him a little bit of grace and let him kind of get back into the flow. But I'm interested to see how that might work. Where I'm hearing all these, people make these stupid memes or put out all these mock trades, and there's a lot of mock trades that include Jaden Ivey leaving the Pistons. And I don't know about you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Like, I think we really need to give Jaden Ivey a real shot. Now, if he ends up being a Derrick Rose type player or a Grant Hill type player that's always hurt, then obviously you can't do much about that. I really hope that he's not, because I like his character. I like his work ethic. But in my opinion, we have to give Jaden Ivey a chance to see what he can do. And in my opinion, our core of Cade, Duren, Stewart, Asar, Ivey, Ron Holland, those young guys, and now Dannis Jenkins really needs to be in that mix. That young core, I think we need to keep those guys together as long as we can. I like a lot of our other guys, and I'm not saying I want to get rid of anybody else, but those 7 guys, with how young they are and how hard they play and how much they like each other, I think we need to keep those guys together. And so, man, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. It has been an incredible start. I had a lot of high hopes and anticipation for the Pistons season leading up to this year. And, you're always curious as a Detroit fan, like, how's it going to go? How is our team going to play? We come in every year with some high hopes, and a lot of times our Detroit teams let us down. But, man, I'll say the Pistons are off to a much better start than I anticipated. 11 straight, as I mentioned, 12-2 record, first in the East. They show us low in the power rankings, but at the end of the day, we like being underestimated, do we not? I think Detroit teams like it when you're like, okay, don't take us seriously. Don't mark our game on your calendar, and let's see what happens when you come to Detroit or when Detroit comes to you. And so the power rankings can put us at number 7, number 8, but all that really matters is who's sitting at the top in the NBA Eastern Conference, and right now that's your Detroit Pistons. And so until someone takes that away from us, people are saying, oh, the Knicks are better because they have the best player efficiency rating, blah, blah, blah. The Knicks have had almost the same schedule as us, and they have 4 or 5 losses. And so Until they take that number one spot, I don't want to hear it. Right now, Detroit is number one, and there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of opportunity to get better, but we're young. We got a good staff, coaching staff. We got a good culture, and I think we're going to do it. So listen, let me know in the comments what you want to hear us talk about. I could talk Pistons all day, every day, and that's the plan here on the Pistons Daily podcast. I'm looking forward to bringing you stuff, but I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think about 11 straight wins. I mean, did you ever think you were going to see that again? Let me know what you think about our depth. Are we the deepest team in the NBA? I think we can make a strong case that the Pistons are the deepest team in the league. And tell me how excited you are about Cade's Nike deal. I think that's going to be really cool. If you're going to line up to get those shoes, regardless of whether we like them or not, I think we're all getting them. And then when's Ivy coming back? If you hear something else, let me know in the comments. Let me know where we're at. And if you hear some rumors, we want to talk about it and we want to know. So that's all I got for you guys today. Remember, we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We're getting so close. And so make sure and subscribe if you like this content. Click that notification bell so that you know right away when new content gets dropped. And let's see what's going to happen. But we're excited about this. I'm excited to be your new host. I love basketball. I love the Detroit Pistons. And I'm looking forward to a great season. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me on this road. We will see you tomorrow. And as always, Detroit basketball. Let's go, baby.